Secretary Austin, I'd like to go back to the topic of my first round of questions, the evacuation of Americans and our Afghan allies, the translators, interpreters, guards, security officers who sided with us, put their lives on the line, and who now literally have targets on their backs along with their families. I asked you who at the Department of Defense is in charge of our efforts to evacuate them, and with all due respect, you didn't give me the name of the person at DOD leading these efforts, but you pointed me instead to the Department of State and interagency efforts. I've been involved in working on this evacuation issue and on the refugee question for some time, along with this coalition of veterans, NGOs, concerned citizens, and some government officials. And the frustration I've encountered is that I've been directed repeatedly and constantly from one agency to another. DOD sent me to state, who would then send me to the National Security Council, who would send me back to the Department of Defense. It was a Kafkaesque exercise in bureaucracy and red tape with no clear lines of authority while lives were on the line. And this private network or coalition was doing the work that the United States government would have done if it had maintained a presence there, but it had none. And that's why at Mazur and Kabul, it was doing that work. So I'm concerned that despite this committee's efforts to call attention to the looming crisis in the evacuation, we were unprepared. And as I mentioned earlier, a number of members of this committee went to the White House in the spring, asked for a plan, a strategy, and none was forthcoming. I'm concerned we'll repeat that mistake as we work to avoid a humanitarian crisis during refugee resettlement. And that will be a huge undertaking with hundreds of thousands of Afghan refugees who are literally escaping torture and murder, coming to this country, many of them with nothing more than the clothes they had when they left. We currently have tens of thousands of those individuals on your bases, Department of Defense bases, both overseas at Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Germany, and domestically, as you well know, Virginia, Wisconsin, New Mexico, and Texas. This is a Department of Defense responsibility. It's a moral imperative. These people risk their lives for us, as you know on this panel better than any of us. And it'll be shared with the State Department, the Department of Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, numerous other federal agencies. And we owe it, we own it. It's our responsibility. I'm a United States Senator, and I continue to have difficulty ascertaining who's in charge. I think we need an evacuation czar, a point person on refugee resettlement, whose mission is public and who is known to the American people to be in charge here. So I would like to ask you, how do we ensure that there is a official in charge, a point person, someone to ensure that Afghan children receive schooling, that there are language services, that they receive medical care, and can you give us an update on what the status is?
Well, again, Senator, thanks for your sustained interest and for all that you have done to continue to help get people out. And there is a process, there is a mechanism. State has responsibility, as you know, for being the lead to continue to evacuate American citizens and SIV applicants out of Afghanistan. That process is being run by Ambassador Bass. It's an interagency effort, and we contribute to that with a dedicated general officer as a part of that. In terms of the evacuees or the guests that are being housed on our installations, Department of Defense has responsibility for housing them and for their care and feeding. In terms of integrating them into our society, DHS and state really are leading that process. And I agree with you. It's very important that we do this the right way, and it's very important that we do this carefully, but as rapidly as possible, because we do have children that need education and all those kinds of things. In the meantime, DOD will remain sighted on making sure that they receive the very best care, and we provide for their safety as well.
Thank you.
Senator